Tonight we look at a local community organization, Almost Home Forever, that helps Front Street Animal Shelter find homes for some of the more difficult to place dogs. These are unique dogs. They may have a treatable health condition, or maybe they're missing an eye, or maybe some fur. But underneath that less than perfect exterior is a dog longing to find a forever home. Operating on a shoestring budget and lots of love, Almost Home Forever is a small, homegrown rescue group based in the Del Paso Heights area of Sacramento. I'm Don Henkel, and this is Shelter Life. Hi everybody. Joining me tonight is an animal advocate, an animal lover, and a compassionate, loving individual, and somebody that I get to call friend. Please welcome Robin Lara. Robin, how long have you been involved in animal advocacy?
Oh my gosh, probably my whole life. When I was in the 7th grade, I took posters to my elementary school about the baby harp seals. So it's been pretty much my whole life.
So you have this great little grassroots organized rescue called Almost Home Forever.
Yes.
Tell us what made you do this rescue.
Well, I'd been working with a rescue out of the Bay Area for about 9 years, and they decided they were going to take a time out. And that's when I kind of panicked, because I realized I couldn't continue to do what I was doing unless I was attached to a nonprofit organization. And I thought, you know what? Now's as good a time as any. I'd always planned on starting up my own nonprofit, but it just came a few years sooner than I had anticipated.
So Almost Home Forever is obviously at your house.
Yes, we're foster-based.
And you do a lot of partnership and collaboration with Front Street. Yes. How did that all come to be?
That came about when I was working with the previous rescue. Dogs literally from the neighborhood that I live in are abandoned all the time and on the streets. So I'd bring them into the shelter. I would implore at reception that please attach the rescue's name. If there's any problems, we'll find a way to figure out how to pull the animals and foster them if need be. And so it kind of started like that. And then when I started my own rescue, I got to know the people better at the shelter and just really wanted to form a relationship and become part of the Front Street family.
So what makes your rescue different from some of the other larger rescues in town?
I really have a soft spot for going for animals that are harder to adopt, that might take longer. You might have to have them for a few months instead of a few weeks. They might have behavior issues or medical issues, or they could just be a misunderstood breed.
So you have Jack.
Yes.
Right? Texas Jack.
Texas Jack here happens to be a foster through Front Street. I typically have one foster with my rescue as well as one with Front Street, because I kind of feel like I'm cheating on Front Street if I don't. And he came to me because one of the dog handlers said, you know what, this dog needs some special attention. If we get him into a foster home, we know he's going to do great. I've only had him a week, and after 24 hours, I couldn't believe the difference. So it's amazing.
We've done shows on the foster programs at Front Street in the past, and I can tell you that you're solidifying what we hear so much is that you get a dog out of a shelter environment, and you give them that one-on-one love, and they really truly become their true personality comes out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, Jack's missing one eye, right?
Jack is missing an eye. We're not quite sure what happened, although it's been at least a year since that eye's been missing. Since he's been with me, I haven't noticed anything about him where he would act the least bit disabled because he's missing his eye. He's got great hearing. He's got a little bit wobbly back end, But that just makes it all the more fun to watch him when he runs after his toys.
So do you think you'll have trouble getting Jack adopted?
As a matter of fact, I got an email today. I spoke with a gentleman on the phone right before coming down to do the show, and we're meeting up on Friday, and I am positive that it's going to be a good match.
For those of you that don't know, Robin does a lot of wonderful things with her shelter, and she had this little guy that I'm happy to say has been adopted, but there was this little dog named Sonny, and Sonny just had my heart because he was a special needs dog, similar to Texas Jack here. Sonny was cute as could be, full of rambunctious, but he had a skin disorder. So the whole back of his back was skin. There was no fur there, and he was just the cutest thing in the world. And I'm so glad that he was adopted. Yes. I mean, I would have loved to have him on the show. Don't get me wrong, but
yes,
ultimately we want these dogs to be adopted and find their forever homes.
Yes.
So that was great, and I'm sure that Texas Jack is going to be just as lucky.
Absolutely. And it's funny because the dog that you're talking about, we were about to go on a road trip and take him to some friends of mine that have a rescue in Seattle because we just weren't getting any interest in him here. And I'd had him since February, and I knew he needed his own home. And as soon as we made the plans, in came the emails.
Yeah.
So he got adopted out locally, and I get to see him, and I get to get regular updates, so that's really nice.
That's cool. Jack is a foster from Front Street, right?
Yes.
So if you find a home for them, was he adopted through your rescue, or is he adopted out through Front Street?
No, he's adopted out through Front Street.
Okay.
This particular guy is going to be meeting up. He's going to have a meet and greet at the adoption center at Petco.
Which is wonderful.
Absolutely amazing. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's done so much for getting these animals adopted out. But yes, he definitely will be a Front Street adoption dog.
So you live in Del Paso Heights.
Yes.
And it's common that that's a little bit rougher area.
Yes.
And one of the things you told me earlier was that, your rescue, being that it's in Del Paso Heights, you are definitely faced with a lot more probably than a typical rescue would be. Can you tell me what your rescue has now become for that area? I mean, are people coming to you for advice? And
I have a lot of people through word of mouth in the neighborhood that have animals that are injured, sick, and they don't have the means to pay for veterinary care. And there'll be somebody in the neighborhood that'll say, hey, I know this lady, she lives over here, let me talk to her, maybe she can help. And so even though it's not yet in our mission statement, I think I'm going to have to revise our mission statement, because initially the mission statement was all about just helping these animals, getting them into permanent loving homes. But I'm also realizing a lot of these people would have to give up their animals that they love that are already in a loving home because they can't care for their medical needs. So the rescue has expanded to applying for grants that allow us to help keep these animals in their homes and get the veterinary care that they need.
I think that what you're doing is wonderful.
Thank you.
And it's very compassionate, and obviously you love animals.
I do.
And I think that what you're doing is you're actually offering a service for that particular area that may have been lacking a little bit.
Yes.
And it's very well known that veterinary care is not cheap.
Right.
And people definitely will definitely chip in and help, and hopefully people will be able to go to your Facebook page or your website and maybe learn a little bit more about exactly what your organization does, and maybe they'll be able to help or volunteer or come up with other needs that might be able to assist you.
Absolutely.
I wonder what the people in Del Paso Heights think of you as an individual. I mean, are you known? Do people say hi Robin when you're walking down the street? I mean,
not quite known like that, even though I've lived in the neighborhood for almost 15 years. It's more just people in the neighborhood that have animals that I've helped. They will mention to other people, and people where I've picked up their dogs off the street, taken them to Front Street, and they've actually gotten reunited.
Great.
They remember that, and they will come to me if they have questions about health care for their pets.
So you recently just went to a really big seminar, didn't you?
I did.
So I have no idea what it was. I saw your little post on Facebook. What was that about and why did you go?
It's the Best Friends National Annual Conference. Best Friends, I believe, is the largest animal sanctuary in the United States. They're located in Utah.
Okay.
And this is the third conference I've been to. They offer such a wide variety of information and presentations that no matter what area you're interested in, you can find presentations that are going to just dial right in to your needs. And it's kind of funny because, as a matter of fact, when the first one I went to in Las Vegas 3 years ago, that's when I met Sherry Crum and Gina Knepp. They sat right down next to me at a table in a room full of 1,700 people. So I thought that was kind of
fate.
Amazing.
Wasn't that fate?
Yes.
Was that fate? I would say that's fate.
I think so.
I would say that's fate.
I think so.
And you've been collaborating with Front Street ever since?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
you're a volunteer at Front Street as well. I've seen you. You
Yes.
know. One of the things that I really admire about you is you will show a dog any opportunity that's available.
Absolutely. That's the only way they're going to get adopted.
And we've got a clip of you showing a dog at a Sacramento. It's called MoFo. It's a mobile food truck event where Front Street actually runs the beer garden. But it's just a little clip of actually you showing some of the dogs there. So let's have a quick look at that, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Hey everybody, I'm Don with Shelter Life, and we're at the Sacramento MoFo event here at McKinley Park with Robin Lara for Forever Home. So Robin, it's been a while since we talked last.
Yes.
And tell us about why this event is so special for you.
Well, this event has gotten a few of my dogs adopted out in the past. It also gives them a lot of exposure, socialization in ways that they wouldn't normally get at the average foster home.
Right.
So this really gets them out and about, and we can better judge what the perfect family would be for them.
Because they're out of the kennel environment and they're in a more open space?
Exactly.
And who do we have here?
We have Major. Major came from a High Kill municipal shelter in Stanislaus County, and he's about 7 years old. He's good with other dogs. He's iffy with cats because he really wants to chase them.
Yeah, well,
So
that's okay. That's okay. He likes to chase the tail, probably.
Yep.
So since we talked last, how has the rescue been doing?
We've been doing really good. We've gotten more foster families, which has made a huge difference. So we've been able to pull more dogs from the shelters, and we've been able to respond to Front Street when they've got a dog with some special needs. We've had some space for them.
So how is the placement going? Are you placing most of them?
Yes. We only have one long-term special needs guy, Mr. Rogers. We were working on medical issues with him. We've finally gotten that to the point where everything is cleared up. And so he's going to be up for adoption soon.
Robin, do you find yourself taking more of the, I don't want to say challenging dogs, but do you have a bigger heart for some of the ones that are a little bit more challenging to get adopted?
We do. We like to go for the ones that might otherwise be overlooked. We figure they deserve a chance just like the cute little puppy deserves
Well, it's
a
kind
chance.
of, this is like a dead ringer for One-Eyed Texas Jack.
Yes.
It's like his brother, but this one must have has both eyes, which is great.
He does. He does have an issue with his one eye, so he's going to require drops and ointment twice a day, probably for the rest of his life.
And for those of you that don't know, in the studio when we were talking to Robin, she had One-Eyed Texas Jack, and he was adopted shortly thereafter, was he not?
Yes, he was.
Have you been able to stay in contact with his adopter?
As a matter of fact, his adopter took him on as a recuperation from his eye surgery. They had already adopted Sammy from me, and they said, "Oh, we'll foster him for you." Yeah. Well, they adopted him too. They just couldn't part with him.
I remember Sammy big time.
Yeah.
I think everybody loves Sammy.
Sammy is great. So I get updates from them all the time.